The Queen's test. The great hall of the alien palace was silent, heavy with tension as the human ambassador walked forward. He was just one man, dressed in simple dark clothes, carrying no weapons, yet hundreds of alien eyes followed him, filled with suspicion and hate. The aliens were tall, armored, and their sharp fangs showed whenever they hissed. They were warriors, trained since childhood, and they had never trusted outsiders. At the end of the hall, on a golden throne carved from black stone, sat their queen. Her crown glowed faintly, and her voice carried across the chamber like thunder. "You come here," the queen said, "asking for peace, asking for trust. But words are weak, humans are known to lie. So tell me, how will you prove your loyalty to me and my people?" The human stopped walking, his heart pounded, but he stood tall. He had crossed galaxies for this moment. He had prepared many speeches, but none of them mattered now, because the queen's question cut deeper than politics. "My loyalty," the human answered carefully, "is proven by action, not only by words. Give me a task, and I will complete it. Test me, and I will endure." The queen's eyes narrowed. Her court murmured in low voices. Some aliens laughed, their claws tapping on the floor. They thought the human's courage was foolish. Then from the side a figure stepped forward. It was a young alien girl, no older than the human himself. Her skin shimmered like silver, her dark hair braided with symbols of her clan. She bowed before the queen, but when she turned to the human, her gaze was sharp and challenging. "Mother," she said, her voice firm, "our laws are clear, no oath, no battle. No speech can prove loyalty. Only the ritual of binding. Only the act of mating can convince the queen that his loyalty is true." The hall erupted in shock. Alien warriors hissed, their voices rising. Some shouted in agreement, others in disbelief. The human froze. He had heard rumors of alien traditions, but never imagined the queen herself would demand this. The queen raised her hand and the noise fell silent. Her golden eyes glowed. "Yes, the girl speaks truth. This is our oldest law. The human will face it, or he will leave here in disgrace. Perhaps in pieces." The human's throat went dry. His mission had been to secure an alliance, to stop a war that could burn entire star systems, and now it all depended on this impossible demand. The alien girl looked at him again, her expression unreadable, her voice was calm. But inside she too was torn. She did not want this test. She had been chosen, forced to carry the burden of her people's traditions. She spoke again, softer this time, only for the human to hear. "If you refuse, they will call you a traitor. They will kill you before you can leave this hall. If you accept, you will live, but your life will never be the same." The human felt the weight of the entire galaxy on his shoulders. He looked around at the alien warriors, at their sharp weapons and cold eyes. He looked at the queen, sitting high on her throne, and then back at the girl, who stood like a blade between him and death. For a long moment he said nothing. His silence made the court restless. Some shouted, "Kill him now! He's afraid!" Others hissed, "Make him obey our laws!" But the human raised his hand slowly. His voice carried steady, even as his heart thundered inside his chest. "I came here not to insult your people, not to mock your traditions," he said. "But I also came here to show that loyalty can be more than fear, more than force. If this is your test, then I will face it not with shame, but with honor." The hall went silent again. Even more tense than before, the queen leaned forward, studying the human like a predator studies prey. The alien girl's eyes widened slightly, as if surprised by his words. "Very well," the queen declared at last. Her voice echoed like iron. "The test begins at dawn. Until then, the human will remain in the chamber of binding. Guard him, watch him, and if he runs, kill him." The guards moved quickly. Their armor clattering, they surrounded the human, pushing him toward a great set of doors carved with ancient marks. The alien girl walked beside him, silent but watchful. Her eyes flicked to his face, as if searching for weakness. The heavy doors closed behind them with a deep boom, sealing them in darkness. The test of loyalty had begun, but neither the human nor the alien girl knew that shadows in the court were already moving against them. Plots and jealousy stirred, daggers hidden in the dark, and what began as a test of loyalty would soon turn into a battle for survival. The chamber of binding was cold and dim, lit only by a circle of pale blue fire burning in bowls on the walls. The flames made strange shadows dance across the floor. The air was heavy with the scent of incense, sharp and bitter. The human stood in the center of the chamber trying to calm his breathing. His mind raced with thoughts of what had just happened in the Queen's court. He had faced battles, he had faced death, but this was different. The alien girl entered behind him, the great doors shutting with a thunderous echo. For a moment, silence hung between them. Only the crackle of the fire filled the room. "You are brave," the girl finally said, her voice calm but edged with steel. Most would have refused. Most would already be dead. The human turned to face her. He could see her more clearly now. Her silver skin shimmered faintly in the firelight. Her dark eyes sharp, proud, but also carrying something else, doubt, maybe even sorrow. "You didn't want this either, did you?" he asked quietly. Her lips tightened. She looked away. "Want has nothing to do with it. The Queen chose me, I'm bound to obey. My loyalty is not mine to question." The human studied her. He saw the weight she carried, the pressure of her people's traditions, and he felt a strange kind of respect for her, even though she had just declared herself his judge. She stepped closer, her eyes never leaving his. "Do you know what happens if you fail this test?" "I can guess," the human replied, forcing a steady voice. "Your people will kill me." Her voice dropped lower, almost a whisper. "Not just you. Your world will be branded as liars, as traitors. The Queen will use your death to call for war. Your people will be hunted across the stars." The human's chest tightened. He had always known the mission carried risks, but to hear it so plainly shook him. One life for peace. His life. But now it wasn't only about him. It was about his entire species, so, he said, his voice heavy, "Everything depends on me proving loyalty to you." The girl's eyes flickered. She folded her arms, her expression unreadable. "Yes, and loyalty is not easy. Many have tried before you, warriors from other races, even traitors from our own clans, they failed. They died." She walked slowly around him like a predator circling prey. Her footsteps echoed against the stone. "Tell me, human, why are you here? What makes you think you can succeed where others failed?" The human didn't flinch. He turned his head to follow her movements. "Because I am not here to conquer. I am not here to trick your people. I am here because peace is the only way forward. I came because someone has to try." The girl stopped. Standing in front of him, her eyes searched his face, as if trying to see into his soul. "Peace," she repeated softly. "Your word is beautiful, but it is also dangerous. My people respect strength, not promises to them. Peace sounds like weakness." The human took a step closer, closing the space between them. "Then I will show them that peace takes more strength than war." For a moment, their eyes locked. The firelight flickered between them. She looked as if she wanted to argue, but instead she asked a different question, one that surprised him. "On your world, how do humans prove loyalty?" The human smiled faintly, though his heart was still racing. "We prove it by trust, by sacrifice, by standing with each other even when it's hard. Loyalty is giving up your own safety for someone else's." The alien girl tilted her head, studying him carefully. Her people had always seen loyalty as something bound by ritual, by blood, by force, yet his words carried a strange weight. "Sacrifice," she whispered, almost as if testing the word, "to give without gain, to trust without chains, that is." Different, but before she could say more, a loud crack echoed from the door. The guards outside shifted, and faint voices carried through, harsh and angry. The girl stiffened. Her sharp ears caught the words. She turned to the human, her voice urgent. "They are watching us. Some already whisper that you will fail, they want you dead, and if you fail, they will not wait for dawn." The human's eyes hardened. "Then I'll have to prove them wrong." The girl stepped closer again. Her face inches from his, her expression was unreadable. Her voice low. "If you want to survive, if you want to save your people, then listen to me. The Queen's test is not about the act itself, it is about will. About whether you can stand against pressure, against fear, against temptation." She looked deep into his eyes. "Show me your strength, human. Show me that you are not afraid, because if you falter, even for a moment, they will kill you, and I cannot stop them." The human nodded slowly. His heart was still heavy with the weight of the mission. But now, for the first time, he saw that the girl was not just his judge. She might also become his ally. The fire burned brighter, casting long shadows on the walls outside. Voices of suspicion and hatred grew louder. The night stretched ahead of them, filled with danger and uncertainty, and inside the chamber, the test of loyalty had only just begun. The night inside the chamber stretched long. The fire still burned, but the air was thick. Heavy with silence and unspoken fear, the human sat on the stone floor, his back against the wall. His thoughts raced. Every second felt like a countdown to doom. The alien girl stood near the center. Still watching him with sharp eyes, she looked calm. But he could see the tension in her shoulders. She was not just a guard, not just a test. She was a prisoner of her own duty. Finally, the human broke the silence, his voice low but steady. Tell me something. Do you really believe loyalty is proven by this ritual? Her head turned, her dark eyes narrowed. It does not matter what I believe. It is the law of my people, the Queen's will is law. The law is older than me, older than her, older than even our empire. The human leaned forward, resting his arms on his knees. Laws are made by people, not by stars. They can change, she tilted her head, her voice cold. And you, a single human, believe you can change what thousands of years have built. The human gave a small smile. I don't need to change your laws, I just need to show you another way to see loyalty. The girl's eyes flickered, curious but cautious. Another way? The human nodded. Where I come from, loyalty is not about binding someone by force. It is about trust, it is about sacrifice, it is about staying when it is easier to run. We don't need rituals to prove it, the girl frowned. Empty words, anyone can speak of trust. Anyone can claim sacrifice? The human raised an eyebrow. Then let me tell you a story. For a moment, she looked puzzled. A story? Yes, the human said, his voice firm now. On Earth, we teach through stories. They carry truth better than commands. He leaned back, eyes half closed as if remembering. Once, long ago, there was a soldier. He was young, untested, and in his unit there was a man he barely knew. One day in battle, the unit was ambushed. The soldier had a chance to escape, but his comrade was trapped. Everyone shouted at him to run, to save himself, but he didn't. He turned back, he pulled the man from the fire, carried him on his shoulders while bullets rained. He almost died that day, but both of them lived from that day. The soldier and his comrade were brothers, bound not by ritual, but by trust. The girl listened silently, her expression unreadable, but she didn't interrupt. The human continued softly. That is loyalty, not chains, not force. Just choosing someone else's life above your own. The firelight flickered across the girl's face, and for the first time her expression softened. And you call this loyalty? Yes, the human said. It is what keeps us alive. It is what builds families, armies, nations. The girl stepped closer, her voice dropped, as if afraid others outside might hear. In my world, such a choice would be called weakness, to risk yourself for another. They would say you throw away strength. The human's smile was faint, but his eyes were sharp. Then maybe weakness is stronger than you think. She stared at him for a long moment. Her heart conflicted. She had been raised to believe strength meant dominance, control, obedience to law. But his words planted something new inside her. A small seed of doubt. Finally, she asked, and what of me? Do you see me as just a test? A tool of your survival? The human shook his head. I see someone trapped between duty and choice. Just like me. Her breath caught. For the first time she looked away. Her hands clenched tightly at her sides. She hated that his words touched her heart, but she couldn't deny it. Before she could reply, a faint metallic scrape echoed from beyond the chamber doors. The human's head snapped up. He saw her tense instantly. Her ears twitched, picking up sounds faster than him. They are plotting, she whispered. Not all wish for you to succeed. Some want you dead before dawn if they can provoke failure. The Queen will have reason to end you. The human's jaw tightened. So the test is not only about us, it's about surviving their schemes too. She nodded, her eyes fierce now. Yes, they will try tricks, lies, maybe poison. Do not trust anyone. The human leaned closer, lowering his voice. Then I will trust only you. The words caught her off guard. Her eyes widened slightly, her breath slowed. She wanted to say it was foolish, but instead she asked softly, why? Because loyalty, the human said, begins with trust. Silence fell again, but this time it was different. The tension in the air had shifted. The alien girl no longer looked at him only as an enemy to be tested. She looked at him as something else, perhaps an equal, perhaps a threat, or perhaps something she didn't yet understand. The fire burned lower, but its glow painted both their faces in the same light. Outside, the court whispered of treachery and failure, but inside the chamber, A human had begun to rewrite the meaning of loyalty. And for the first time, the alien girl was listening. Outside the chamber of binding, the alien court was far from quiet. Whispers traveled like fire through dry grass. Some said the human would break before dawn. Others placed secret bets on how long he would last. A few muttered that his courage was dangerous, that he might succeed, and that could not be allowed. In the far corner of the hall, an alien warrior stood in silence. His tall frame wrapped in black armor. His eyes burned with envy as he watched the sealed doors. His name was Korak, one of the Queen's most trusted fighters, and secretly, he hated the human more than anyone. But his hatred wasn't only for the human. His eyes often drifted toward the alien girl, the Queen's daughter. Though most of the court never spoke it aloud, Korak had desired her for years, trained harder than anyone to earn her respect. He had shed blood for her clan, yet she never looked at him, not once, not even when he stood victorious in battle. And now this human, this outsider, dared to stand beside her in the chamber of binding. It was unbearable. Korak's claws scraped against his weapon as he muttered to himself, "I will not let him succeed, not while I draw breath." One of the lesser warriors crept near. Bowing low, "Korak, the Queen has commanded patience. We must wait until dawn." Korak's lips pulled back in a snarl. "The Queen may wait, I will not. If the human survives, it will shame us all. Better to end him before the dawn." He leaned closer, his voice low. "Prepare the poison when the guards bring food. It will carry death," the warrior hesitated. "And if the Queen discovers..." Korak's eyes glowed with rage. "The Queen will not know. The girl will be blamed, the human will die. And her loyalty will be questioned. It will end them both." The warrior bowed again, fear making his hands tremble, and left quickly inside the chamber. The human felt unease, though he didn't yet know why. He sat near the dim fire, speaking softly to the alien girl. She listened more than before, though her face still carried that shield of pride. "You are different," she admitted at last. "Your words. They stir something, and yet part of me resists. I was raised to believe loyalty is not gentle. It is hard. It is tested through fire." The human smiled faintly. "Sometimes fire doesn't forge strength. Sometimes it only burns what could have grown." Her eyes lingered on him, and for the first time there was no sharpness, only thought. But before either of them could speak further, the chamber doors creaked. Heavy footsteps echoed as armored guards entered, carrying a tray of food and drink. The alien girl's sharp eyes flicked to the bowls. Her nostrils flared, catching scents too faint for human senses. She froze, then stepped in front of the human. Her arms stretched wide. "Do not touch it," she whispered urgently. The human blinked, surprised. "Why? What's wrong?" Her voice dropped, fierce and low. "Poison!" The guards stiffened. One of them snarled, "How dare you accuse us?" But the girl's eyes burned with certainty. Her people could smell toxins, even hidden well. The human stood, his jaw tightening. "So it begins," the girl's voice carried louder now, aimed at the guards. "Tell Korak his schemes are wasted. He may plot in shadows, but I see through them." The guards shifted uneasily. One nearly dropped his weapon, and they hurried out, leaving the poisoned tray behind. The human turned to her, his voice steady. "Korak, who is he?" Her jaw tightened. "A warrior feared by many. He has long desired to prove himself. He believes loyalty means domination. If you survive, you will humiliate him, and he cannot accept that." The human frowned. "So this test is not only against your queen, but against him as well?" She nodded, her eyes dark with warning. "Yes, he will not stop. He would rather see you dead than see you succeed, and if you fail, the Queen will not spare me either." The human felt the weight of her words. He could see now that she was as much a prisoner as he was, bound by her people's traditions, trapped between her mother's throne and her rival's jealousy. He stepped closer, his voice low but firm. "Then we face him together. If I fall, you fall. If you fall, I fall. That's loyalty too, isn't it?" Her eyes widened slightly. Her breath caught for just a second. For the first time, she did not have an answer. Outside, Korak paced like a caged beast, his fury boiling hotter. "The girl ruined it," he growled. "But it does not matter. Tomorrow I will make my move. Before the Queen, before the court, the human will bleed." He clenched his claws until blood dripped onto the stone floor. "And she will see that loyalty to a human brings only death." The night grew darker. The fires in the chamber dimmed to embers inside. Two figures, one human and one alien girl, sat in uneasy silence. United by danger, divided by law, and in the shadows, a rival sharpened his blade, waiting for dawn. Dawn came slowly to the alien palace. The first red light of the twin suns spilled across the grand hall. The court had gathered once again, hundreds of armored warriors filling the air with the low hum of whispers. The great doors of the chamber opened with a deep groan, and the human stepped out. His clothes were plain, his face tired, but his eyes were steady. Behind him walked the alien girl, her expression cold and unreadable, though her silence spoke volumes. All eyes turned toward them and then toward the queen. She sat tall upon her black throne, her crown gleaming in the light. Her gaze swept the hall like a blade, cutting away the noise. "The human has faced the night," she said, her voice strong. "Now we see if his loyalty is true." The human felt the weight of 100 eyes pressing against him. His heart beat hard, but he did not let his fear show. He looked only at the queen, refusing to bow his head. From the far side of the hall, a voice cut through the silence like thunder. "This is no trial of loyalty." It was Korak, clad in black armor, stepping forward with heavy strides, his claws tapped against his weapon, his eyes burning with hate. "This is a trick, a lie. The human is weak, he hides behind the queen's daughter. He should be tested by blood, not words." The hall erupted with hisses and growls. Some warriors shouted agreement. Others shook their heads, the queen's eyes narrowed. But she did not yet speak. The alien girl's voice rang out, sharp and defiant. "Korak, your jealousy blinds you. The test is not yours to command." But Korak laughed, a harsh sound that echoed across the walls. "Jealousy? No, I speak the truth. Loyalty is proven in battle. Not in whispers of peace. Let the human fight me, here and now. If he wins, let him live. If he dies, let him rot." The human's jaw tightened. He could see the trap clearly. Korak wanted to humiliate him, to kill him before the court. And yet, the murmur of the warriors showed that many agreed. The queen raised her hand and silence fell. Her golden eyes glowed as she studied both men. Perhaps Korak is right, words are wind. Loyalty must be forged in fire. Her gaze fell upon the human. "Do you accept this challenge? Refuse, and your mission ends here. Accept, and your fate will be sealed by combat." The human's mind raced. If he refused, he would die anyway. Branded a coward. If he accepted, he faced a warrior stronger, faster, bred for battle. But he thought of Earth, of the stories he carried, of the soldiers who stood when they had no chance. He stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "I accept." The hall roared with excitement. Warriors stomped their feet, claws clattered against armor. The queen's lips curled faintly, perhaps in amusement, perhaps in curiosity. Korak grinned, baring his fangs. "Good. I will enjoy breaking you." The guards cleared the center of the hall. The floor glowed with ancient markings as the trial circle was revealed. The human stepped into it, his fists clenched, no weapons given. Korak entered opposite him, carrying a long, curved blade that shimmered with deadly light. The queen raised her hand. "Begin!" Korak charged with a roar. His blade came down fast, the human barely dodged. The strike slamming into the stone and sparking fire. The crowd roared in approval. The human moved quick, circling, his eyes sharp. He could not match strength, but he had speed. And more importantly, he had cleverness. "You fight like prey," Korak snarled, slashing again. "Run, little human. Run until you fall." The human ducked low. Rolling under the strike, his mind worked fast. He remembered Earth battles. Remembered how his ancestors fought giants with tricks. "With traps, with wit, you want to fight?" The human shouted. "Then face me without your blade!" The crowd gasped. Korak froze for a moment, then laughed darkly. "You dare challenge me?" He threw the blade aside, his claws gleaming. "Very well. I'll tear you apart with my hands." The human braced, waiting. Korak lunged. His claws slashed for the human's chest, but the human caught his arm, twisting sharply, using Korak's own weight against him. The warrior stumbled, his balance broken. Gasps filled the hall. No one had expected the human to move so fast. Korak roared, swinging wildly, but the human ducked and drove his elbow hard into Korak's ribs. The alien staggered back, fury in his eyes, his pride wounded before the entire court. The alien girl watched, her heart racing for the first time. She saw something her people could not see. Human loyalty, human will burning like fire even in weakness. But Korak was not finished. His rage twisted into something darker. He reached into his armor and pulled a hidden dagger. Its blade tipped with green poison. The crowd screamed. Some shouted warnings, others cheered. The queen's eyes narrowed, but she did not stop him. Perhaps she wanted to see how the human would react. The alien girl's voice tore through the chaos. "Human, beware!" The dagger came down fast, faster than the human could dodge, but in that instant, he made his choice. He grabbed Korak's arm with both hands, forcing the blade down not away from himself, but into the floor. The stone cracked, poison spilling into the air. The crowd fell silent, shocked by his courage. By his refusal to run, Korak snarled, straining against him, but the human's voice rang clear. "Loyalty is not proven by killing, it is proven by standing firm even when death is certain." The hall shook with silence, every eye turned to the queen, waiting for her verdict, and in that moment, the trial of loyalty had turned deadly. The hall was frozen in silence. The human still held Korak's wrist, the poisoned dagger pinned to the floor. The sharp green liquid hissed as it ate into the stone, filling the air with a bitter smoke. Korak snarled and pulled back, humiliated before his queen, his people, and worst of all, the alien girl. His pride was shattered. But his hatred burned hotter. He wanted blood. But the queen rose slowly from her throne, her golden crown catching the twin suns' light. Her presence filled the hall, and the warriors bent their heads. The human released his grip and stepped back, his chest heaving from the struggle. The queen's eyes swept the hall, then rested on her daughter. The alien girl stood tall, though her hands were trembling slightly. Her voice had been the warning that saved the human, and everyone knew it. "Korak," the queen's voice thundered. "You dishonored the trial. You drew poison where only honor was meant to stand." Korak fell to one knee, his head low. "My queen, I only wish to protect you from weakness. The human cannot be trusted. He is a danger to our people." The queen's golden eyes narrowed. "You call it protection, but I see jealousy. You wished for his death, not our safety." Whispers spread through the court. Warriors exchanged sharp glances. Some muttered against Korak. Others still supported him. The court was split. Then the queen turned her gaze to the human, her voice cold and heavy. "And you, human, faced death yet did not strike the killing blow. Why?" The human met her gaze, his voice steady. "Because loyalty is not about killing enemies. It is about protecting life even when it is hard. I would rather die proving loyalty than live proving nothing." The queen studied him for a long, silent moment. The court waited. Tense, hearts pounding, finally she spoke, her voice echoing like a blade drawn from stone. "You speak boldly and your actions match your words. But words and actions are not enough. Loyalty is more than courage, it is a bond. Unbreakable." She turned toward the alien girl. Her eyes glowed brighter. "Daughter, step forward." Gasps filled the hall. The word daughter rang like thunder, many had suspected. But the queen had never spoken it aloud until now. The girl moved forward slowly, her heart racing. Her eyes flickered between her mother and the human beside her. She knew what was coming, and her choice would decide everything. "Tell me," the queen commanded, her voice fierce. "You stood with the human. You warned him of poison. You shielded him. Do you believe his loyalty is true?" The hall held its breath. Every warrior leaned closer, waiting for her words. The girl's dark eyes locked with the human's. She remembered his stories, his courage, the way he trusted her when no one else did. He had not treated her as a test, or as a weapon, but as a person. "Yes," she said firmly, her voice carrying through the hall. "I believe his loyalty is true. He faced fear without faltering. He trusted me without force. That is the loyalty you demanded, mother, though you never named it." The court erupted in noise. Some shouted in rage, others in disbelief. A few even cheered. The division grew sharper. Korak's voice cut through the chaos filled with venom. "Lies! She betrays us all. The human has poisoned her heart. He has twisted her against her people." The queen raised her hand and silence crashed down again. Her gaze shifted slowly from her daughter to the human, her face unreadable. "If I accept your words," she said, her voice lower now, dangerous, "then loyalty will no longer be proven by tradition, but by trust. Do you understand what that means?" The girl bowed her head slightly, but her voice remained strong. "Yes. It means strength is not only in blood, but in the choice to stand together. That is what he showed me." The queen's eyes burned like fire, but deep within them there was something else, a flicker of pride. Perhaps even relief. She turned back to the court, her voice sharp as steel. "Then hear me, all of you. This human has proven loyalty in a way none before him have. Not through mating, not through battle, but through sacrifice. He has redefined what loyalty means. Shock rippled through the hall. Some warriors bowed their heads in acceptance. Others hissed with fury. Their traditions had been shaken. Their laws questioned. Korak rose, his voice dripping with rage. You would let a human change our law? You would let him shame us before the galaxy? The Queen's eyes snapped to him, golden fire blazing. Enough, Korak! You have dishonored yourself. You will leave this hall in chains, or in pieces. Guards moved instantly, seizing Korak. He fought, snarling like a beast, but their grip was iron. The court watched as he was dragged away, his roars fading into silence. The Queen returned her gaze to the human and her daughter. Her voice dropped low so only they could hear. But know this, what you have done here changes everything. My court is divided, my enemies will not rest. You have won the trial, but the war for loyalty has only begun. The human nodded. His heart heavy, he understood. This was not the end, only the beginning. The alien girl stood beside him. No longer only his judge, but now his ally. Together, they faced the Queen's throne, knowing the hardest battles still lay ahead. The great hall had not calmed, even after Korak was dragged away in chains. The court buzzed with noise. Warriors argued in sharp voices. Some shouted that the Queen was wrong. Others whispered that perhaps the human had revealed a greater truth. The Queen herself sat silent, her golden eyes glowing as she studied the man and her daughter standing side by side. Her judgment had shaken the empire, and she knew it. The human stood steady. Though his chest was tight with unease, he had survived poison, survived battle, and survived the Queen's impossible trial. But he sensed something. Danger still lingered. Hidden in the shadows, the alien girl shifted closer, her voice low so only he could hear. It is not over. Many will not accept this. They will try again. He gave a small nod, his voice calm. Then let them try. Suddenly, from above the throne, a faint sound cracked the silence. A string drawn, a whisper of air. The human's eyes snapped upward just as a dark arrow streaked down from the rafters, its tip glimmering with poison, aimed directly at the Queen's heart. Time seemed to slow. The warriors gasped. The Queen had no time to move, but the human did. With a surge of instinct, he leapt forward. Shoving the Queen aside, the arrow pierced into his shoulder with a sickening thud. Poison burned through his veins instantly, his vision blurring, but he stayed on his feet. The hall erupted in chaos. Warriors drew blades. Shadows leapt from above, hidden assassins revealing themselves. They were Korak's followers, desperate to finish what he could not. The alien girl cried out, her voice filled with fear and fury. She caught the human as he staggered, his blood soaking her hands. His eyes burned with pain, but also with defiance. Stay with me, she whispered desperately. You can't fall now. The human clenched his jaw, forcing his body to stand, even as poison tried to drag him down. He pulled the arrow free and turned toward the attackers. His voice rang out strong and unbroken. You want loyalty? Then see it now. I will not run. I will stand for her, for all of you, even if it costs my life. The court froze. Warriors stared in shock as he charged, wounded but unyielding. His fists struck with desperate strength. His body moved with the will of a man who refused to break. The assassins fell one by one, some cut down by guards, others beaten back by the Queen's fury. But it was the human who stood in front, bleeding, staggering. Refusing to fall, at last silence returned. The attackers lay dead. The hall was filled only with the sound of the human's ragged breathing. The Queen stepped forward slowly. Her golden eyes locked on him for the first time. Her expression softened. You saved me even after all I demanded of you. Why? The human's voice was weak but clear. Because loyalty is sacrifice, not obedience. It is trust, not fear. The Queen's gaze flicked to her daughter, who was still holding him upright, her hands stained with his blood, her eyes burning with determination. He is right, the girl said, her voice steady. Our laws bound loyalty in chains, but he has shown us loyalty can be chosen freely, and chosen loyalty is stronger than any command. The court was silent. Many bowed their heads, some in shame, some in awe. They could not deny what they had seen with their own eyes. The Queen raised her hand, her voice thundering across the hall. Then let it be known, from this day loyalty is not proven by ritual, not by force, but by choice. The human has redefined it, and his name will be remembered. The hall shook with the sound of warriors striking their fists to their chests. A salute of respect. Even those who once doubted now lowered their heads before him. The human swayed, the poison still burning him, but the alien girl held him tighter, whispering fiercely, "Stay alive. You're not alone now," he looked at her. A faint smile touching his lips despite the pain. Together then, the queen stepped closer. Her voice quieter now meant only for them. "You have won more than a trial. You have won the heart of my daughter, and perhaps the future of our people. Rest human, for your fight has just begun." And so, in the great hall of the alien queen, among enemies turned to witnesses, a single human had reshaped the meaning of loyalty, not through power, not through fear, but through sacrifice and trust. The legend of that day would spread across the stars, a story told again and again, that one human stood before a queen, faced death, and proved that loyalty was strongest when it was freely given.